know you were mostly supporting Alex, but I have to say it is great to be on a crowded court. I played this tournament.
Want to know how a teenager from the Philippines messaged one of the biggest names in tennis and turned a long shot into one of the most talked about partnerships of the season? Stick around, because Eala just pulled off the boldest move in modern tennis, and what happened next will leave you speechless. Quick favor, if you are loving this content, hit that subscribe button. Over 92% of viewers have not yet. It's free, takes a second, and means the world to us. Thanks if you did. Now back to the show. Picture this. It is May 2025, and somewhere in Manila, 20-year-old Eala is staring at her phone screen, finger hovering over the direct message button on Instagram. On the other side of that screen sits Coco Gauff, the world number 3, United States Open champion and one of the most recognizable faces in tennis. They have met exactly once, briefly, like passing ships at a tournament. Most people would think, no way, she's way too big for me to reach out to. But Eala, she hits send. I am Eala. Would you want to play doubles with me at the Italian Open? Boom. Just like that, the tennis world's most unexpected partnership was born. And let me tell you, what followed was nothing short of legendary. Now you might be wondering, who does that? Who slides into the direct messages of a Grand Slam champion asking to team up when you have barely shared a conversation? Well, Eala does, and here's the kicker, it worked. But before we dive into how Gauff responded and what went down in Rome, we need to rewind just a bit, because this story does not start with a direct message. It starts 3 months earlier in Miami, where Eala went on an absolute tear that had the entire tennis community asking, who is this kid? March 2025, Miami Open. Eala walks onto the court as a wildcard entry, which basically means she's there by invitation, not ranking. Nobody expects much. After all, wildcards are usually given their shot, they put up a decent fight, and they go home. But Eala did not get the memo. First round, she faces a former Grand Slam champion. Straight sets, victory. The tennis world blinks. Okay, fluke? Second round, another Grand Slam champion. Straight sets again. Now people are paying attention. Third round, you guessed it, yet another Grand Slam champion goes down in straight sets. At this point, social media is losing its mind. Twitter erupts with clips of her forehand winners. Analysts are scrambling to pull up her stats. And the question on everyone's lips, where did she come from? But here's what made it even more impressive. Eala wasn't just winning, she was dominating. Cool, calm, composed, no wild celebrations, no shocked reactions. She played like someone who expected to be there. Imagine a 20-year-old taking down tennis royalty left and right and acting like it's just another Tuesday. That's Eala. Her run in Miami was not just about skill, it was about mentality. This was a player who had been grinding on the International Tennis Federation circuit, clawing her way up, and suddenly she was standing toe-to-toe with the best in the world, and she was not intimidated, not even a little bit. So by the time May rolls around and the Italian Open is on the horizon, Eala is riding high. She has proven she can compete with the elite. But singles is one thing, doubles is a whole different ballgame, and that's where our story gets juicy. Because Eala didn't just want to play doubles, she wanted to play with Coco Gauff, and she wasn't waiting for some agent to set it up or for fate to intervene. She went straight to the source. Now, let's talk about Coco Gauff for a second. At this point, Gauff is a household name. She's been in the spotlight since she was 15. She's won a Grand Slam. She has millions of followers. And let's be real, she probably gets hundreds of messages a day from fans, brands, and random people asking for favors. So when Eala sends that direct message, there's a very real chance it just gets buried in the noise. But it didn't. Gauff saw it. And here's the beautiful part. She said yes. Why? Because Gauff, despite all her success, is still the same kid who loves the game and respects talent when she sees it. She had seen Eala's Miami run. She knew this wasn't some random player shooting their shot. This was someone who had earned the right to ask. And so, just like that, the partnership was official. Two wild cards, one from the Philippines, one from the United States, teaming up at the Italian Open in Rome. The tennis world didn't know what to make of it. Was this a publicity stunt, a casual exhibition, or were these two about to show up and show out? Fast forward to Rome, and the answer became crystal clear. This was no charity doubles match. Eala and Gauff came to compete. But here's where it gets really interesting. You'd think Gauff, the seasoned doubles player with the bigger name, would take the lead, but that's not how it played out. Eala, the younger, less experienced player, stepped up in a way that caught everyone off guard. She wasn't there to ride Gauff's coattails. She was there to hold her own, and she did exactly that. Match after match, Eala was outperforming expectations. Her volleys were crisp, her court coverage was insane, and their chemistry with Gauff, it was like they'd been playing together for years, not weeks. The crowd loved it, the commentators were gushing, and social media, well, social media went wild. One user tweeted, "Eala is not just keeping up with Gauff, she's carrying this team." Another joked, "Coco Gauff might have just found her permanent doubles partner and doesn't even know it yet." The memes were flying, the highlight reels were stacking up, and Eala, once again, was playing like she belonged. But let's be real for a second. This wasn't just about skill, it was about confidence. Eala had the audacity to message a superstar and then the guts to back it up on the court. Think about that. She didn't just ask for an opportunity, she made the most of it. She didn't shrink in the spotlight, she shined. And that's what separates good players from great ones. It's not just talent, it's the mental fortitude to believe you can compete at the highest level and then go out and prove it. Now, here's where the story takes a full circle turn. February 2026, Dubai, the WTA 1000 quarterfinals. Eala versus Gauff. Not doubles, singles. The student versus the mentor, if you will. Except Eala was never really the student. She was always the competitor. And on that day in Dubai, she showed the world just how far she had come. The match was electric. Gauff brought her A game, she always does, but Eala brought something more. She brought the hunger of someone who had been underestimated her whole career. She brought the precision of someone who had spent years perfecting her craft. And she brought the confidence of someone who had already stood across the net from legends and come out on top. When Eala hit that final winner, the crowd erupted. Not because they were shocked. By this point, no one was shocked anymore. They erupted because they had just witnessed something special. A young player from the Philippines who had messaged a superstar on Instagram less than a year earlier had just defeated that same superstar in a singles quarterfinal at a major tournament. It was poetic, it was powerful, and it was proof that Eala was not a fluke. She was the real deal. But here's the thing that makes this story even better. After the match, there was no animosity, no drama, no bad blood. Gauff was gracious in defeat, as she always is, and Eala, she was humble in victory. Because at the end of the day, this was not about one player beating another. It was about mutual respect. Gauff had given Eala a chance when she did not have to, and Eala had honored that chance by showing up and competing at the highest level. That is what sports is supposed to be about. Not just winning, but respecting the game and the people who play it. So what can we learn from Eala's journey? First, do not be afraid to shoot your shot. Eala could have sat back and hoped someone would notice her. Instead, she took control of her destiny. She messaged Gauff. She put herself out there, and it paid off. Second, back up your confidence with action. It is one thing to talk a big game. It is another to deliver. Eala showed up, played her heart out, and proved she belonged. And third, respect the people who help you along the way. Eala acknowledged the partnership and the mutual respect that developed between them. And let us talk about Coco Gauff for a moment too. In a world where superstars often surround themselves with people they already know, Gauff said yes to a relative unknown. She took a chance on Eala. She played doubles with her, and even after losing to her in singles, she remained gracious and supportive. That is the mark of a true champion. As for Eala, what's next? If her trajectory so far is any indication, the sky is the limit. She has proven she can compete with the best. She has shown she has the mental toughness to handle the big moments, and she has earned the respect of her peers. Whether it's more Grand Slam runs, more doubles partnerships, or more epic singles battles, one thing is clear: Eala is not going anywhere. So the next time you see a young player grinding it out on the lower circuits, remember Eala. Remember that sometimes all it takes is one bold move, one message, one opportunity to change everything. And remember that in tennis, like in life, the biggest risks often lead to the biggest rewards. Eala took a risk messaging Gauff. She took a risk stepping onto the court with her. And she took a risk believing she could compete at the highest level. And every single time, it paid off. This is the story of Eala and Coco Gauff, a story of courage, confidence, and mutual respect. A story that reminds us why we love sports in the first place. Because every now and then, someone comes along who is not just talented, but fearless. And when that happens, magic unfolds. Stick around, folks, because if Eala's first few years on the tour are any indication, we're just getting started. The best is yet to come.